Hello, and thank you for pressing play on this tutorial of something as a service from an ROI and TCO perspective through the experience of owning a coffee maker. Um, why this video? Why this tutorial? It's pretty simple because the inspiration for this content is during the lockdowns of COVID, our coffee consumption at home went way up, and I did some math and I realized, oh, wait a minute here. And from there, I figured, like, how about we create content and explain this kind of situation? And so individuals and organizations can have a better grasp on what they're paying for or what they're charging for. So it started with looking at my coffee bill and it ended up with this content. It's that simple. So who is this for? It's for everybody. It's one of those very horizontal topics. If you're buying stuff, this is good. If you're selling stuff, this is also good. And if you've never looked at what you're paying for, this is equally good. So, everybody. Now, subscriptions are everywhere, and that's part of the inspiration of this video as well, because I ended up looking at how many subscriptions I was paying for, and I'm like, wait, what? And do I really use all of these? Like, you can have meal prep delivered boxes. You just need to cook type services. You can subscribe to consumables. Either, printed toner is a classic one, but if you are an Amazon shopper, you can actually see some items are available as a subscription in their consumable type products. So soap as a service through Amazon, right? Software and IT is a very classic place for subscription, because this is one of the places that exploded in this business model in the last 10, 15 years. Car leases, car maintenance, music, all the streamers, videos, audio streamers, etc. are all subscription based. I can't tell you the last time I bought a CD. And subscription boxes also interesting depending on where you're at, what you want to buy, but it exploded as well in the last few years for your socks, for your clothes, for your food, for your dog, etc. So we're getting flooded by subscriptions, and either consumers or businesses should be starting to look at how much they're paying for stuff. Are they really using it? And on the flip side of the coin, if you're charging, how much value you're providing, and how to make this offering a bit more valuable for your customer. So first and foremost, we need to define total cost of ownership. It's pretty simple. It's how much this product or service costs you over a period of time for direct and indirect costs. It's that simple. There's no science here. And on the flip side of the coin, if you know how much something costs you, let's define how much it's worth to you. I mean, from a needs perspective, what gaps do you fill? Is it operational, emotional? Do you augment capacity? Do you control your spending? What do you need to do here? On your wants is what do you want to do? What gains do you want to make incrementally? Do you want to raise your margins? Do you want a faster turnaround? Do you want simplicity, etc.? And whenever you want to measure TCO, the goal is find the right KPIs, measure, rinse, repeat. I'm going very high level here. It's meant to be high level, but it's still pretty simple. The model of something as a service is really popular and is really interesting for many product categories and many consumers of many kinds. Well, what does it really mean if you want to compare something as a service versus an acquisition classical model? The main, in my opinion, one of the main benefits is your barrier to entry is actually squashed in something as a service, because you're paying on a monthly basis. You don't need to get any money out coming in as CapEx to actually get in. Like, there we go. But your ongoing costs can be higher. Service and support can be bundled in or not, depending on what you're buying. And also the mindset of the offering is the end user leases and never owns, right? Acquisition is the obvious polar opposite, where your barrier to entry, financially speaking, is much higher, but your ongoing costs are typically lower because you just bought in, right? And service and support are sold as options for cars, for computers, doesn't matter, and the end user owns it. So after the term of the agreement, you keep your car. You do whatever you want with it. You can buy another service plan if you want from the car manufacturer or third party, but you own and you make that decision. And based on the circumstances, either plan or either method is actually equally good. It just is circumstantial. Now, as I said, this whole discussion with myself happened because of the price of coffee that we were consuming at home. And my wife was working at home. I was working at home. And our youngest discovered coffee. Yeah. And we were on a pod system, and my bill was somewhere around $120, $150 a month for coffee. Then it prompted this discussion of, wait a minute, is it really worth it? What can I do to improve my financial situation on my coffee consumption and the costs related? And wow, how about we raise the quality of the consumed coffee? Little project. So in the world of coffee makers, there's really two categories of coffee makers. I'm going to call the first one open standards. You buy beans, you do whatever you want with it, or you buy your coffee pre-ground and you do whatever you want with it, right? It's the classical way of doing coffee. Proprietary is all those capsule-based systems by all those names you know, and some remain into an exclusive ecosystem, and some will enable third-party vendors to participate and sell licensing rights, but usually don't have the same options as the open standards coffee. So that's the landscape. And if you want to compare costs and bring that mindset that we've looked at before into the acquisition costs, I wrote down the numbers. I will not go over every single line. If you want to download the PowerPoint, the slide deck in PDF format, you just go to my website and download the slides to give you the same exact information. But last line is really interesting. I'm like over 5 years, I'm saving a fortune. I mean, it's the price almost of a vacation for two on coffee. And, this prompted this whole discussion between my wife and I. So I made something that speaks volumes at home because my wife, by training, is a scientist. I made a graph. And visualizing data the right way is always beneficial in any discussion. And yeah. So my super automatic Death Star grade coffee maker that will make bazillion types of coffees, etc., and I can choose my beans and everything, over the course of 5 years costs me about half of my proprietary need to be stuck and order as a service type subscription coffee puck system. So my wife said yes to my new toy. And she enjoys the new coffee as well. And this discussion brings us to the topic of return on investment. It's how you measure how much money you make out of an investment, how much gains that you make out of an investment. So in the case of a coffee maker, it looks like this. So basically I have an ROI of 85.84 over 5 years, which is pretty decent, frankly, because I save almost $5,000 over 5 years on something that will bring me more joy, more options. We can now make a latte, a cappuccino, Anyway, I can play barista and but we have better for less. And this is a great ROI from a quantitative and a qualitative perspective. And what does that mean if you take this office, because that was a consumer example, and you want to bring the coffee machine discussion to the office, and parentheses, everybody knows what's a coffee maker, so it's a horizontal example, and I love it. In the office, what does it mean? How do you calculate this in a different, you have different metrics to take into account. So does somebody need to focus on this device? How many employees you've got? What about the maintenance and cleaning of the coffee maker, inventory, and all that stuff? These are small things, but you still need to manage them. And also your consumables. how easy it is, how, if you go through a subscription model, none of your employees have to worry about it. You have the same amount of coffee coming in every month and boom, 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 it's there. Or somebody does that manually again. It's decision's yours. And the qualitative here is experience and culture. If you go for pods, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but you work a little less hard, but you probably create more waste depending on which product you buy and where you are in the world. If there's recycling, which goes against culture. And if you bring the more elaborate coffee maker, you raise the level of the experience for your employees. And also something not to neglect, because I worked at a place where management bought cheap coffee pre-ground, and the staff in the morning were not happy to show up to have a cup of coffee. Invest in coffee for your staff. They'll be happy to show up in the morning, have a cup of joe. It's just that getting the momentum going in the morning experience, and it's more enjoyable, right? And it's all about the desired value. What are you looking for? Are you looking to simplify? Are you looking to save? Where are we going with this, and how does that affect your ability to grow your business? Either from a consumer or a supplier. Examples to ponder from a B2B perspective, from a B2B consumer perspective. Office telephony versus self-hosted. Cloud telephony is really cool and really reliable now. Anybody here host their own email servers anymore? Not really. It's not worth it. It would be cheaper to host a server in-house, but it's so simple and easy to get rid of that, and I can actually take my resources and apply them somewhere else, which is far more profitable. Do you rent an office, or do you buy a building to run your business? You rent an office. More expensive? Again, you focus, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. So that is my quick crash course on TCO and ROI through coffee makers. I hope you found this enjoyable, because I found the topic refreshing, and who doesn't like coffee? So thanks for listening, and if I can be of any assistance, don't hesitate, drop me a line, and I'll try to do my best to respond as soon as possible. Have a great day.